Hey, Burn Nation. Welcome to the Burn Boot Camp podcast. I'm Anne's one of the guest hosts here. And all I can say is, after you listen to this podcast, if you ever feel like you just don't want to go to camp, you just don't feel like it, you're just going to skip the day because you're tired, you might as well turn this podcast off right now, because this guest has an incredible story of resilience, of strength that will blow you away. I'm so excited to have Mo Weinman from Corvallis, Oregon, Burn Boot Camp Corvallis. Welcome, Mo.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you here. You really, truly you do have one of the most amazing stories, and we'll get into that. But before we do, I just want to ask you about the vibe at Corvallis. Like, why is it the best? Who are your people? Why are they your people? Tell me about it a little bit.
Well, when I joined, it was almost 6 years ago. I joined just after they had their grand opening in March 2018. I had been on a weight loss journey, and I'll talk a little bit about how that evolved later when I talk about my story. But in the beginning, I was on this weight loss journey and kind of got stuck. And I got stuck because I wasn't exercising. I was just doing the calorie count and being mindful that way. So anyway, I looked around at a couple different gyms, had a couple pretty bad experiences. And then saw a Facebook ad for Burn, and they had free childcare. And at the time I had a 2.5-year-old. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I went, I hid in the back, nobody look at me. And the trainer bounced over to where I was and introduced himself.
A mile away.
Yes, I was like a newbie over there. And I introduced myself and I said, I'm really nervous. I haven't ever really consistently exercised. He said, that's okay. We're going to help you. And the next day when I went, he remembered my name. And honestly, that's all it was for me. Just find me important and I will be your biggest fan.
See me. People just want to be seen.
See me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What I noticed right away is nobody was looking at bodies. Nobody was looking at bodies. People were kind of doing their own thing and trying to be their strongest and their best. Nobody was looking at bodies. The owner, Meg Jones, has turned into one of my favorite people in the entire world. I am also a registered nurse. Shout out to Meg. I worked in a critical care unit during the pandemic, which became the COVID unit. Meg was checking on me daily in the beginning, weekly as time went on, just consistently checking in with me. So, I would say, to summarize that, they have found me important for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best thing that you could possibly say about your location. Absolutely 100%. So Mo, tell me a little bit about your history, your background. Talk about your growing up and mom and dad and what was fitness and what did nutrition look like? Talk to me about that.
Okay. You and I just discussed how old I am. So I'm 44, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s in this culture of, Suzanne Summers and the Thigh Master and Weight Watchers and Jazzercise. And it really was all about the counting calories and how thin you were. So that was the tapes that were playing in my mind. And then, into the 90s as a teenager, I struggled with body image, eating disorders, just hyper focused on the way that I looked and how thin I was. And then at 22, I had twins and I gained quite a bit of weight in that pregnancy. And then as time went on, it just, it didn't go away on its own. But again, the culture that I grew up with was you had to be thin to be okay or to be healthy. Both of my parents were good people, but that's the culture that they grew up in the 50s and 60s. It's just all about what you look like. And nutrition wise, I would say nobody really talked to me about that growing up. It was about the hamburger helper, the casseroles, sugary cereal in the morning. I don't know that I ever consistently drank water until I was pregnant with my twins,
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't get it growing up for sure.
Yes. Well, it's the perfect storm. It's absolutely no knowledge about nutrition and the messaging, the pervasive, most powerful messaging of whittle it away, shrink it down, deny, restrict. That set us all up for a lot of heartache and a lot of failure. And gosh, isn't it amazing to be in a place like Burn Boot Camp now, where it's about taking up space and building confidence and building strength, muscle, and it's just it feeds your soul. It does me, and yes. I think it probably does you too. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I think a lot of people are absolutely 100% nodding their heads as they're listening and watching. Okay, well then let's just, okay, everybody take a deep breath. Bring me to 2023.
I will too.
Yeah, you take a deep breath.
Oh,
Everyone's
2023. Yeah. So yes, after being a member for, 6 years, at the end of 2022, I had started thinking ahead and was like, 2023 is going to be my year. I'm going to hit 250 camps. I'm going to lift the heaviest I've ever lifted. I'm going to do that unassisted pull-up. I was just so close to some of these goals I'd been really working on over a period of time. And I was also graduating with my master's in nursing. So I graduated with my master's in nursing. I came back from that trip because I had to fly to Arizona. I had a mammogram. And that mammogram came back abnormal. And as a nurse, I understood, could be a myriad of things, probably not cancer, not going to worry about it. Backing up, I was a year behind. I was a year behind on my mammogram. Okay. And my husband opens the mail. He does the bills. He reminded me probably weekly for an entire year. I was super annoyed with him. I was just like, I'm so busy. I'm going to get to it when I get to it. So long story short, I had decided, when I was done with the master's degree, I would get my teeth cleaned. I would get my mammogram. I would, go get my yearly physical and do all that when I was done. Getting back to the story, the mammogram was abnormal. They said, come in tomorrow. And that's when my nurse brain was like, So I went in the next day. In the mammogram appointment, the phone rang and I could hear the person on the other line saying, has she left yet? And the tech said no. And she said, please keep her there. I'm going to come and talk to her. And then I thought, oh no, that's not good. And I was by myself. So radiologist comes in and she said, you're a nurse. I'm going to straight shoot with you. It looks like you have breast cancer. I see 3 areas of concern. She explained to me why she thought it was cancer. The margins on these spots were called spiculated, so they were kind of spiky. She's like, it's a very, once you see it, you kind of know what it is. And so I'm fairly certain this is breast cancer. We'd like to get you in tomorrow for a biopsy. So as soon as she said cancer, my head was just like, whoa.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
Got home. I somehow drove home. I stood in front of my husband, and he just took one look at me and was like, what's going on? And I said, it sounds like I have breast cancer. And then it just kind of was like a whirlwind from then. Some of my first thoughts were, am I going to be able to exercise? Because it had become such an integral part of every morning for me.
Yes.
And suddenly the shift of, oh man, I don't want to go work out, to, oh man, I can't go work out. I had immediately, the beginning of 2023, a bilateral or double mastectomy. My surgeon said, do not go to the gym. I don't care if you're modifying. I don't want you to trip and fall. I couldn't use my arms. So 6 weeks I was out. 6 weeks I was out. And just as I was about to come back, I was so excited at the countdown. I got a call that the tissue they had sent from surgery, that they had found 2 more spots in my lymph nodes, which then changed this cancer to the next level. It's considered metastatic. And I was going to need chemotherapy and radiation. So I made it back to the gym just before I started chemotherapy. I told everybody what was happening. Everybody was extremely supportive. They started me a meal train. Folks were checking in with me. And then chemo started. My hair started to fall out. I was covering it with like headbands and things. And then it got to the point where it was like, okay, you don't have much hair left. And my husband went ahead and shaved my head. The next morning, thinking about going to burn, first was worried what people would think when they looked at me, just like I was the first time I went in. And secondly, I was worried that I would make them uncomfortable. But when I walked in, I was surrounded by my people. Nobody was looking at my bald head. Everybody was hugging me and just telling me how happy they were that I showed up. And from that moment on, each chemo, I felt worse and worse. So I got it once every 3 weeks. For about a week, I'd feel pretty crummy, and then I'd start to feel better, and I could come to camp. But with each chemo, I was sicker longer and longer. And during that time, I couldn't even watch a movie or look at a screen. Everything was so overstimulating. I would lie in my bed in a position and try not to move and look out the window and daydream. And what I was thinking about was getting back to the gym and getting strong. Honestly, of course, thinking about my kids, thinking about my family, wondering, where this all was going to go, but desperate to get back to this place that just made me feel better. So that's the videos that I sent you. Sometimes it was me just marching in place, and sometimes, especially after I started the steroids, I was like, woo, I feel fantastic. And each time I saw my I know. Each time I saw my oncologist, he was like, what? You're going to burn boot camp? Like, this is just incredible. The reason that you're not getting neuropathy in your hands and feet is because you're getting your circulation moving. Most people are in a ball on the bathroom floor, and you're going and moving your body, and that's just incredible. So, when I got this diagnosis, I wasn't anticipating doing anything earth-shattering. I wasn't anticipating motivating anybody. It just was literally one day at a time. But when I got to at the end of summer, I finished treatment, by the way. I'm in remission. All the cancer's gone.
Yes.
I got
to
the end.
Stop for just a second?
Yes, you can.
Yes. Mo,
Yes.
That is amazing. Okay. All right. Keep going.
Yeah, pretty incredible. I reflected on this year and just thought, at the beginning of the year, I assumed I was going to have to cancel or pause my membership. There's just no way that I was going to be able to consistently work out. When the chemotherapy was done and I started radiation, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with what radiation is, but you get pointed radiation right to the spot where the cancer is, and it was like a horrific sunburn. So then it was peeling skin and irritated skin and red from, all the way up here. I couldn't wear an undergarment, and I was still going to the gym.
Good for you. To the gym. Screw that jog bra.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wasn't doing much anyway. There wasn't anything there to hold, but
right.
So yeah, I have one more surgery to go, which is the reconstructive surgery. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be, some complicated situation in that, and also closely watching the skin to make sure it's ready. But other than that, I'm considered in remission. I take an oral, it's called an oral chemotherapy. I'll be on that for 5 years, and then I will be considered cured.
And yes, you will.
Yeah.
That's an incredible, I would call it a journey. Let's just be honest. That's a nightmare. That's a battle. And it's just such an incredible display of that you're just not quitting. You've got so much to live for, so much to struggle through to get to the other side, and it's worth it. And being able to get to go to the gym is such an incredible mind shift from having to go to the gym. And I think it's just so important for everybody to hear. So and speaking of everybody hearing, there are people that are listening right now that are struggling, maybe not quite in such a brutal fight like yours has been over the past year, but they may be dealing with, their own battles, their own struggles with, self-worth, and maybe they're just stuck. What if you were sitting down with them and they were sort of, at the end, at their wit's end? What would you say to them?
I would say our bodies are incredible vessels, and we only get one body, and we only get one life. And honestly, that all came crystal clear to me this year. I get one life, and I really wasn't sure if this was the beginning of the end of mine. And suddenly, many, many, many things were put into perspective, including exercise. So I would just say, the more you care for this vessel, the only vessel that you get, the longer you get to live this beautiful life. It's really as simple as that. Do I feel like going to the gym sometimes? I mean, no. I'm just going to be honest. Do I wake up every day glad that I can exercise and go to the gym? I mean, some days that's a no. But what I know now is when I go, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel better when I'm done. I have never once gone to the gym and been like, I wish I didn't go.
Exactly.
And so that's what I want to tell people. Put your clothes on and make it a priority, just like you make it a priority to go to work. Schedule your workouts like you would go to work, like you schedule your kids' activities. Those are important. You make sure that you make those. It's only 45 minutes. And so I like to go early in the morning. I'm one of those ridiculous people. I for a long time was a 5 a.m.er, and now I'm a 6 a.m.er because then it's just out of the way. Just done. Yeah. I'm really halfway through the workout before I even realize that I'm there. It takes me that long to wake up, and then I'm just like, I'm almost done. So that's what I would say. Just really put it into perspective that the workout is not the enemy. The enemy is being out of shape, feeling unworthy, feeling like you don't like what you're looking at, not being strong enough to play with your kids and go to the park and ride bikes. And that's the enemy.
Yep. You're exactly right. Mo, I feel like we should trade places. You should be hosting the Bird and Boot Camp podcast. You are.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
You're wonderful. You're so eloquent. You speak
Thank you.
Truly straight into people's hearts. And I can't tell you what a privilege it is to be on this journey with you at Bird and Boot Camp, that you are 1 year ago today. This is like, here you are, and you're absolutely gorgeous.
1 year ago today, I started chemotherapy, actually. So yes, I know. It's crazy.
It's just crazy. It's so crazy. Keep going the way you're going. You're doing an incredible job, and we are all in your corner cheering you on every single step of the way. Okay, last thing. What's your goal in gym for next year, for 2024? What's your big goal?
So I'm working on that 250. When I started back after the mastectomies, they were very clear because I had lymph node involvement that I had to start back at 1 pound weightlifting, which just felt super ridiculous. I've worked my way up. I'm up to 25 pounds now, and I was at 55 before surgery, but this is the slow progression. So continue adding weight, and I'm trying to get to that 250. If I have surgery this year, that likely won't happen, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have it this year or not. So, so far this year, I have worked out 14 times. It's the 17th. So, and we're in an ice apocalypse, so some of those have been home workouts. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. We're getting there.
You should be. We are stoked for you, Mo. You are incredible. And we're just so privileged to have you as part of this community. You are very much loved. Okay, kiddo. Well, I thank you so much. I'm so happy to have everybody here listening. Please like and subscribe. Send us ideas through our email, podcast@burnbootcamp.com. Do all the things. Like us, recommend us. Okay, Mo, you ready to take us out?
I am ready. All right, let's go 2 claps on 2.
Nice job. Thank you, Mo.